You're on.
Okay, so let's share. What are those big impactful projects that you guys came up with? So room one.
Yeah, room one started with Chemo from North Hawaii, and he wanted to engage in a recycling project. And what it really boiled down to is taking an idea and bringing other clubs to bear to help reduce the plastic waste in the landfill and do recycling. And then Alan came along and said, well, we can't do anything without partnerships. So to become more impactful, what really has to happen is more partnerships between the various clubs in the district. And then we talked about, Lawrence talked about, or Conrad talked about maybe a district-wide project where we could all partner together, maybe surrounding mental health issues that have now come to grow over the last couple of years with COVID, and maybe put on a fair. So bring up a real strong district project that we can all get involved in. And Lawrence talked about doing something with libraries and using other facilities within the community that can help us gain more impact. So that was our room.
Awesome. Yeah, and it takes one person to come up with an idea that can go worldwide, like eradicating polio. So keep it up. So room two.
Okay, room two, that's us, right, Becky? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Hence it's on mute.
Okay, Becky, where are you, Becky?
Here I am now. Aloha.
Right.
Okay, I think she would be a much, she would be a much better, yeah, Becky, you'd be a much better speaker than I would. So you can talk about our focus on.
Well, we came up with two initiatives. The one being homelessness and the breadth and the gravity of it. It's the best and concise way to put it.
Yep.
And the other was helping the youth. And I guess with both initiatives, we didn't really decide which would be the one to choose, but I think both were chosen or spoken on because of all of the possible intersections of the other committees that are within the club that it could bring in, and all the integrated levels, to speak to Naomi's point of engagement. But nothing in particular was chosen because we just spoke plenty about it.
Oh no, this is a brainstorming. So you want to brainstorm what are all the ideas, and then your club or your area, your AG area, can think about, okay, is this something that we can do? Do we want to do it? And then you plan it. So that's okay. Brainstorm is really good. So room three.
Yes. We spoke about, there were two people on our team who had ideas for projects. One was a project in Fiji where we would partner with an existing organization and build a house in a village that is specifically for homeless people or people in transition. And the other project was that on our island, Hawaii Island, recycling has kind of gone by the wayside because the county doesn't have the money for it anymore. And it would be wonderful to be able to get a thing like that started again. A couple of other people made good points about it's important when you set these projects up to make sure that they will continue after you have finished them, that to train people who will carry them on and so forth.
Excellent. Do room four?
Well, our group came up with the idea of a theme of paniolos, picking up on the Houston International Convention. And there are paniolos on every island, so we could all dress up with cowboy hats or paniolo hats or something. And there was talk about doing something for the homeless, but it wasn't quite sure exactly what, like collecting clothing or supplies and then partnering with other organizations to distribute them. We discussed about doing a cleanup, but everybody seemed to be sort of tired out of doing cleanups. And they said everybody seems to be doing that, although that is one thing that reaches everyone. And besides, Rotary's already got a work day and doing that. So, but the homeless ones seem to be doing something in that, but we weren't quite sure exactly how to do it. But we did like the Paniolo theme.
Okay, thank you. Okay, room 5.
Okay, thank you. Our room talking about the Alawai Canal, the Kenkipo, and Tony Alamoana suggests to have the life-saving brewery to help. And also Gal Hilo, their club, they donate a book and read book for the kindergartens. And our Waikiki Club, we donate a lot of books to the elementary school Waikiki. We donate lunch bento to Kapiolani Hospital for the doctors and the nurse to award them for the lunch bento. We also helping the food pantry every month, try to be every month to help food pantry. And also we have a lot of plan projects coming. So we need time to do so.
Thank you. Really great project.
Thank you.
Good ideas. And sometimes the impact might be one person. There was a group that does pictures of families of foster kids. And that picture of a family is really was so meaningful to the kids that was an impactful thing, even though it was a small project. So when you think about what kind of projects to do, think about the impact. How are you making a difference for someone or the environment or whatever your audience is? So reaching out to other groups is really important, because then you have more hands that you can do more projects with. And so sometimes you have a small club and maybe one person wants to do something, it doesn't mean that you cannot do it. If the club is okay with one person getting another group together to do it, then go and do it. But it's got to be that if it's going to be from Rotary, that the club is agreeing to do that. I got to tell you, we did this project in Chinatown. It was a cleanup project. We painted it stuff, and there were only our club. We've got a lot of rule of 85, so they're not that athletic. So 7 from our club, we went to the city council, we got other groups. That day to clean up Chinatown, we had 110 people with only our 7 members. So you see how if you can get more hands to help you, it can happen. So let's move on to expand our reach real quick. So, for expanding your reaches, this is where you're looking at how you can reach out to other people, to inspire other people to help you make the world a better place. And also it's good for continuity. So that idea of making sure your project can continue, this is one way that you can do it, is to get other people involved with it. So we know that people are seeking a greater sense of purpose, and it's good to get these groups involved so they can help you with your project. Okay, so what does that mean to expand your reach? If you got more people affiliated with Rotary, you can get more people involved, partners, participants, and then you focus on how you can add value, because it's that value proposition that you're looking for your members. Okay, and that's that power of Rotary. And why do we want to do that? We want to collaborate with groups because it makes your club appealing. You're doing something for the community, encourages diverse membership base, and it expands the capacity of what you do. Okay, so how do you connect with others? You reach out to community leaders, think about who the stakeholders are in your community. So it could be who's in your group, it could be schools, chambers of commerce, other organizations, churches want to help out too, especially for homeless projects. Hold family-friendly events, so so people can see that you are inclusive and you want to include young individuals. Look for new audiences and invite groups to participate in your project. So if you have a project that you want to promote, Kanu Hawaii has a volunteer week that they're doing. It ends with the 23rd of April, which is our Rotarians at Work Day. So if you want to post your event, let me know, and we'll do it under the Rotary D5000 group listing, okay? But think about how you promote your project and what kind of impact and what kind of audience you have. So when you think about the audience and a new group that you want to connect with, look at what they're looking at. What's enticing them to work with your group? How do they get their information? Sometimes they get their information in different ways that you might not know of. So you want to find out how to communicate with them, what do they want to do, what appeals to them, and then promote the alliance, the partnership, okay, and the event. Okay, so that's where your public image comes in. They can help you do that. So how do you do that? Tell the stories of your events, your activities through social media, club websites, doing a press release. Be innovative, think of new projects, being flexible, and commit to being diverse, equitable, equity, and inclusive. So assess the demographics of your club. Does your club reflect the community that you represent, and are your community professions diverse? So when you think about the resources, if you need resources, these are in the Rotary.org website in the learning section. There's diversify your club, finding new members, and enhancing the club experience and understanding why members leave. So when you get this PowerPoint, it has the links to these resources. Okay, so we're going to be taking the next priority, which is adapt, and Benson will do that, and then we'll go into DEI and harassment, and then we'll break out again.
All right. Okay, so when you hear the word, well, before I get into this, so you guys, down along the bottom here where you see reactions, yeah. So you guys know how to like raise your hand like that. See that? Everybody know how to do that? Because what I'm going to do here for the next few minutes is have a discussion. And for those of you guys who want to participate, it would be great if you could just, raise your little Zoom hand, and then we can have a conversation. So, okay, Susie, before we even ask the question, Susie already knows the answer, so go for it. Or were you just experimenting to see if you knew how to raise your hand? No. Okay, good. All right. So let's talk about adapt, right? So when you hear the word adapt, what does that mean? When somebody says, Jenny, you got to adapt. Allie, you got to adapt. What does that mean? Okay, Susie, you have your hand raised, so you can go for it.
Be flexible.
Be flexible, okay.
And problem solving.
Okay, Becky, what does adapt mean?
It means to be malleable, to be able to bend and sway with the wind.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, you're a good Hawaiian, I can tell that already. Okay, Adrian and then Allie.
Be open to change, because if you don't get on the change train, you're going to be left at the platform while the train's gone down the track and you're
Bingo.
sitting there wondering what happened.
Okay, good. Allie, what's your thought on adapt?
To be patient, because when we don't always get it the first time.
All right, cool. All right, so the answer really is to change, right? So when people say, you have to adapt because now we have, new weather patterns, we got a pandemic, what it means is that you have to change. All right, so if you're going to change, then what is the one thing that you need as a leader to be able to make a change? If you got an answer to that, okay, Carrie and Susan, I feel like I'm on a game show, like, okay, ding, ding, and then, we should have like a bell that when you put your hand up. Okay.
You need to know what your team wants.
Very good. Excellent. Jenny, what's your thought? What do you need to be a change?
Be open-minded and be understanding of others.
Okay, excellent. Connie, what do you need to change?
You need support from the club.
Exactly, 100%. That's great. Lynn.
Yeah, similar to what Connie said, you need to have buy-in from the club to be okay with change.
Right. Okay. I'm going to take one more. Adrian, go ahead. You got to unmute.
Yeah. You have to change yourself and you have to be able to inspire the group because they might, yeah, you want to see what their buy-in is, but you have to convince them that your vision is the one they should buy into. And that's a challenge.
Okay. So just by the nodding of heads, who agrees that change is really difficult and people don't like change? Nod your head if you believe that. People do not like change. Okay. All right. So one of the key lessons I learned from my grandma as a kid is that she would always say this to me, "Mai maka'u." And mai maka'u means don't be afraid. And what she was telling me is that whenever there's change, people are afraid.
Yeah.
And so the number one component that you need as a leader to change is you need courage. You need to have the belief that whatever change you're going to make, that you have the courage of your conviction within you that I'm going to make that change. Okay. Now, I want to pose two questions and I want you to write these two questions down. If you want to answer them now, you can. And if you don't, ponder this because this is something as the leader, a leader in your club, you're gonna be thinking about these two things. And the first question is,
Don't hit your veggies.
yeah. The first question is, what do we need to change in your club? What do we need to change? That's question number one. What do we need to change? And the second part of that too is what effect is that change, or let me rephrase that. Would the effect of that change be beneficial to our club? Okay, and then let me tell you about, I'll tell you a little story about what happened to me when I became the president of my club about 4 years ago, right? So a group of people, longtime Rotarians, had basically run our club for about 15 years. And so they had control basically of everything, and they would decide basically who was going to be president, who was going to be on the board. And, they had a small board and it was controlled. And I'm not saying they did a bad job, but they just were used to doing it. And it made it super easy for the club because the club didn't really have to think about, well, what should we do about this? Or what should we do about that? What should we do in our major fundraising? All of those decisions were made by a small core group of people. So that when I showed up and I assessed that that's how we operated, I said, no, this has got to change. We have to be more transparent, especially in how we awarded money, because they couldn't see that there were some obvious conflicts of interest in how money was awarded from our fundraising. So I changed it. All right. And this core group of people, they all left. They all quit the club. They said, well, if it can't be the way we always did it, then we don't want it to be like that. All right. But what happened is that it allowed, kind of like the pruning of a tree, sometimes you have to cut the tree down so the tree can grow back. I actually believe that it improved our club and it allowed other areas and other people in our club to emerge as leaders. And that it allowed our club to get a different focus and go in different directions that we might not have pursued otherwise. So if anybody would like to answer those two questions for their club or for themselves, it would be a courageous thing if you would step up and say, what do you think needs to change? And would the effect of that change be beneficial to the club in the long run? Anybody want to tackle that? We're almost at the edge of our time, so it doesn't matter. Adrian, I can always count on you because you're on, you're ready to go. Go for it.
Well, I think one of the biggest changes is to shake things up and to bring some new people in. We're getting a few new members and putting those new members into positions of, let's say, as chairs of committees or something, which sort of startles some people, like, this person just joined the club. I said, yeah, and that's why they're going to be, because they're excited.
Yeah.
And that would be beneficial, because the whole thing about being in the doldrums for the last 2 years is to shake things up. So I know that's what I'm looking to do, and I'm working on that, is finding different people to put in positions of leadership.
Yeah.
And that also relates to new members, which is it's a challenge when you're getting new members, but we're getting new members. So that's my thought. What else we need to do?
All right, now I'm gonna go. Thanks a lot. That's terrific. When we get down to the end today, when I talk about action steps, I'm gonna kind of address this more. But just understand this about ability to adapt. That's one of the last of the 4 priorities, right? Adapt means to change, all right? And if you want to change things in your club, all of you gave good answers. You need the support, you need the buy-in, absolutely. But for you as a leader individually, it takes courage to even to suggest a change, right? You know. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Naomi, and we're going to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Go ahead, Naomi.
You know, when we think about harassment and DEI, it's about accepting people's opinions and how you can work it out in a peaceful way. So Dottie's question, Benson, was what steps did you take to make that happen? And sometimes it's the courage to make that kind of decision that will maybe the effect would be people leaving. But sometimes it's a good thing if there's disagreements, if it's disrupting the club. But sometimes you might want to have a mediator, someone neutral that can maybe talk it out. Because an opinion on one side, maybe it doesn't sound good, but like Adrian says, if you convince someone and explain your situation, maybe people will understand where you're coming from and make a conscious decision to accept it. So you accept it or you change it, right? So the steps, Benson, would be that you took to make that happen, if you're still there, Benson, or did you get some water? Hey, and Benson has a room service. So Benson, you didn't ask for room service?
Yeah, I did, but they're tied up because they got a lot of orders today. So I'm waiting. Yeah, so thanks.
So the steps that you took to make that happen when you're in your club, when you made that change, what were the steps?
Well, the steps basically is that I got other people in the club. Well, basically, right, nobody wanted to, it was one of those where nobody wanted to be president, so it's kind of on you. But basically, I saw at least from my opinion, that there had to be more transparency in the club. So I put that out to the club that I felt like, you know, if we're going to go forward and be a good club, that we have to have more transparency. So we need to make these changes. And then basically everybody in the club bought into that. So all of the stuff that people were suggesting earlier about, you know, how do you make a change? You know, I followed along those lines. And then basically I just said, well, hey, this is the way it's going to be going forward. But I knew that was going to be a risk, that these people weren't going to like it. And they were a long time, they were people that have been in Rotary 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they, you know, and they responded pretty much how I thought they would, which was okay, because I was ready for that. And I think that one of the things that you have to do whenever you install something new is that you have to be ready whatever's going to come down the pipe. You might get a good result, you might get a bad result, so, or a different result. I think, to me, it was all a good result for me, you know.
Mm.
Okay.
So it's kind of applying the four-way test, and is it,
Correct.
fair?
Yeah, correct.
So along that line, you want to make sure that when you're dealing with conflicts, or when you're dealing with change, that you have a hassle-free, harassment-free zone. And so this is what Rotary is saying. We need to educate ourselves about harassment, and it's the content or verbal or physical abuses or things that we might need to think about when we're creating this safe zone, that you want ideas, you want change to happen. So you educate yourself, your others, and then educate your club on this. So as long as you're applying the four-way test on what you're doing, and it's in the best interest of the club, then you go forward. Okay, but we also have DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Rotary's commitment to DEI is longstanding. So Paul Harris on 1933 says that we should be tolerant of other people, and Rotarians in all countries should recognize these differences. And Rotary kind of updated this DEI statement, and the DEI statement then in 2021 is that in Rotary, we understand and cultivate the diverse and equitable, inclusive culture. And we know that it's essential to the revitalizing or realizing our vision. And we want to value this diversity and celebrate this. But when you think about what is diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's not only what you think of like ethnicity, race, gender, or age. It's also other things like the physical abilities of people. So, in the Imagine video, you had some people signing. So it's the physical abilities, it's their thinking styles, it's their culture, their location, the socioeconomic situation of them, their education. These are some other things that you can think of for DEI. And so does your club represent your community? Okay, so when you think about the code of conduct, Rotary is asking all Rotarians to adopt this code of conduct, and it's reflective of our core values. And the DEI code of conduct asks that Rotary members use respectful language, be supportive, foster a welcoming and inclusive environment, and celebrate diversity. So when you go through these steps on your Vibrant Club workshop, take each component and think about, are we welcoming? When somebody walks into your club meeting, whether it's on Zoom or in person, are you welcoming and inclusive? Think about it from their point of view, the user's point of view. Okay, so we don't tolerate speech or behavior that's promoting biases or discrimination, prejudices, or hatred. And so we want to be as harassment-free as possible. Okay, so the code of conduct is here, and Jennifer Jones, who is our incoming president, had these key messages when she talked at the International Assembly. And she said to engage members through meaningful responsibilities, to adapt and retool, to embrace change, to open the doors to opportunities, and really look at the dreams and act on them as a choice that we make. So as an organization, we dream about big things like ending polio, creating peace, and it comes with the responsibility of us to make it happen. So she said, don't imagine yesterday, imagine tomorrow. Okay, so her initiatives for 22-23, during the year, she wants Rotary clubs to learn about DEI in Rotary. Okay, see why DEI matters to your club and your community. Raise the awareness of DEI and take action in your club and your community to educate yourself and the underserved groups in your community in order to be more knowledgeable and advocate for DEI. Okay, so Benson, we're going to break out into groups now.
Okay, so now we're getting to the part that you guys have been all looking forward to, the end. It's close. So what we're going to do is break out into just the 2 groups, right? And so one group's going to go into the breakout room. So there's only going to be one breakout room. One group's going to go with Naomi. The other group's going to stay in this main room with me. All right. So if you guys already have an action plan or a strategic plan, and you know, you just want to tweak it up a little bit or talk about how you want to engage that plan or how you want to put it into motion, then I'm gonna, when I put the breakout room up, then you can choose to go into the breakout room. So you'll go with Naomi. If you don't have an action plan and you're starting from scratch, or you have an action plan, you don't like it and you want to start from scratch, then you're going to stay in this room with me, and we're going to discuss and kind of talk about that. So is that kind of clear? If you have a plan and you already feel like you kind of know what you guys are doing, then you're going to go in the breakout room with Naomi. If you don't have an action plan or would like to start all over, then you're going to stay here with me, and we're going to do this for about the next 10 minutes. How's that? Is that clear? Anybody have any thoughts or confusion about that? Now, what's going to happen, it's going to come on your screen. Would you like to go to breakout room number 1? And so if you want to go with Naomi and you already have a plan, choose number 1. If not, just stay in this room, and then we'll have a conversation with the people that remain in this room. Okay, you guys got that? All right. Or I'm going to give you a minute to decide to go or not go. Now, I realize that this is change and it's challenging, and maybe you don't want to change, but I'm going to give you about 30 seconds more to decide whether or not you want to change or not. Okay, good. Some of you guys are going. That's good.
One. I want 1.
Yeah, well, one means that they're going to go in Naomi's group. So you can just basically pick room 1 and then you go. If you don't want to go, if you want to stay here, then
I have a choice. There's no choice on the screen.
Yeah, I don't have, there's nothing on my screen that lets me pick a breakout room either.
Yeah, here too.
Okay, let me try launching that again. All right. So what is this, gang? It's ability to adapt. Okay, hang on. Let's try that one more time. Okay, well, three people went in the group, so I'm gonna relaunch it again. Let me see.
Does it come on the screen or into the more?
Yeah, it'll come. It should come on the screen. So, so what happens is I have to close this existing one. So it's going to close, and then I'll reopen it again. So you have to wait a few seconds. Okay, because some people actually got in the room. It appeared on their screen. So hang on just a few more seconds.
Connie Ichinose, are you there? Which room are you going to?
See, Connie, Craig, and Lynn Goya got into the room. So
Yeah, I want to go there too, but how do you do that?
Is that room 1?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Hang on a second. And I'll relaunch it. All right, here we go. Okay, let me recreate this one more time. Okay, here we go. One more time. If you want to go into room 1 and you can't go there, and then just stay in this room, and then when we're done, I can physically put you into that room. So if you want to go now, you can go.
How do you?
Benson suggest that they click on the breakout rooms at the bottom.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that just appeared.
Oh, join.
It wasn't there before.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you have that, so let me give you another like 60 seconds, and then anybody that's still here that wants to go into the breakout room, I can physically put you into that room.
Benson, I don't see the breakout room sign.
Okay, I'll put you into the breakout room. All right, so Naomi,
Send me two. I don't see
Oh,
where.
you don't see it either yet, because there's a whole bunch of folks that are already in there. All right, let me
Yeah.
look for, let me get
You
Naomi.
have to move your mouse down, then it'll pop up.
Naomi, for some reason, you're not on that. So
Yeah, I'm not listed. So you know what, Benson, I'm gonna make you host so that I
Okay.
can go.
Okay. So who wants to go in the other room that's in this room? Okay, there's Naomi. Okay. All right. You see it, Naomi?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So who in this room that's here right now would like to go to the other room?
I think I like go to Naomi because Andrew King is with you, so we separated.
Okay. Let me get you.
No,
Let me get you over here, Eva. Hang
no,
on.
Eva, stay here.
Okay, I stay here.
No,
Thank you.
stay here.
Let's-
Because Nathan's
Okay, okay.
here, he's our PE, and you know, that's one thing we're working on is a plan, right? How to put a plan together. We're the
Okay.
part of the
Okay, you guys.
incoming.
All right, you guys are good. All right. So everybody's here that wants to be here. Okay, good. All right. So so now that we're in a smaller group, and you guys can, if you want to say something, you can unmute and just say it. All right. So those of you that are in the room right now, all right, do you feel like you got enough information today to get going? All right. If you feel like you didn't get enough, or you need more, can you put that down in the chat? Like today, I didn't get anything today. I'm still like don't have any idea when I started to right now. Or did you get enough tools to at least get you a start? Okay, everybody feel like they got enough to get you a start. All right, so when I close this thing at the end of the session, I'm gonna say, all right, here's the next steps. And as you guys who know me, I like things that all begin with the same letter because it's easy for me to understand. All right, so at the end of today's session, I'm gonna go through the action steps, okay? Now, what I figured out in training for the last couple of years, if you want people to really get something, don't put it on a slide, because people have like learned to just ignore slides. And if you put too much information, they don't get it anyway. So what I want you to do, I'm gonna give you some things to write down. There's only 4 of them. Write them down. Either write them down or put them in your phone. Okay, because then I can assure that you're gonna get it. All right, so what's the next action steps for you to go forward in terms of getting a plan together for your club? Okay, so there's 4 things. They all start with the A, okay? And so the first one is assemble. And that means get together your board or anybody that's interested in your club that wants to talk about the future of your club. Okay, number 1, the first thing is assemble. Okay, it's to have a meeting, not just with your board, but anybody that's interested in having a say about the future of your club. That's number 1. Okay, start the talking. All right, number 1. Okay, and so the second A is assess. All right, so once you get this group together, then talk about some of those things that are in that strategic plan template that I gave you. A lot of those questions are there as far as assessing, right? What are we good at? What do we want to be known for? Okay, what things do we need to change? Okay, what's our vision for going forward, right? What kinds of things, if the pandemic changed us so that we can't do certain things anymore, what new things we want to do? Okay, so the second A is assess, right? Okay, the third A is to act, right? And the act means to just basically to make a plan. So once you assess, then you can figure out all of the things that you either need to change, you need to adjust, you need to stop, okay? So the third A is to act, and the act means to put together a plan, okay? Put together a plan. And like I said, it can be something simple, right? It doesn't have to be really this full-on strategic plan with objectives and goals, and it could be like just a to-do list, right? You can get together with your group and say, okay, based on the stuff that we just assessed and the stuff that we need, let's make up a list of all the things we want to do over the next year. It could just be a to-do list. It could be simple like that. All right. And then the fourth A is account or accountability is the fourth A. And the fourth A is basically, all right, so if we make this plan, how are we going to make sure this plan is going to happen? Who's going to be responsible for that? Like I talked earlier about, you need a date and you need a driver. Okay, so in the last sheet of that strategic plan, they have all those blocks in there. It's like, okay, you know, what's going to be our priority? When are we going to do it? What materials do we need? Who's going to be in charge of it? What's the dateline or the deadline for it? Okay, accountability, because if you don't have any accountability for your plan, honestly, it's just not going to happen. And I'll reiterate again. I've done this process with some clubs that say, hey, man, we did it back in 2014.
Yeah.
We're good. I said, okay, well, where's the plan? That's, you know, I don't know. It's in somebody's drawer. I said, well, have you guys looked at it lately? I said, well, no, but we have a plan. And so they're like, well, you know, what do we need to do all this for? Because we already have a plan. I said, okay, well, are you doing anything with that? Well, I guess, you know, but nobody knows, right? Because nobody's accountable for that. And that's where your board has to come in, right? So if you're the PE and if you're going to be running the board, a lot of clubs do it like that. The president also runs the board. You got to tell your board, okay, look, we put this plan together. It's up to us to make sure that this plan happens. And so at the end of the year, when you assess what happened over the last year, it's your board that's going to be accountable to on whether or not this plan actually happens. And so those four things, and I know for me, I'm really about simplicity. So I try to really like simplify the process. So if you just do those four things, assemble, get a group together. Okay, once you get them together, you assess, you know, find out what it is your club really wants to do. And then third is to act. And basically it's just putting the actual plan together. And then the last thing is account for it. You know, who's gonna be accountable to that? I mean, it is really simple, right? If you do it. Now, it's just really a matter of coordinating all the other people that are involved in that. So any questions about that, or who needs to get more than that to feel like they're comfortable going forward? Now, the other thing I also want to tell you is that if you don't feel comfortable about putting this out to your group, you call me and I'll come and do it. I mean, probably, you know, online, but I'll do that. Okay, Maria, what's your thought? Do you have a question or comment?
Well, Benson, I'm new to Rotary, so
Okay.
you know, I'm not even a year in, right?
Okay.
And so I'm still seeing a lot of things as an outsider. And when you talked about DEI, it was, I think it's more important than a lot of people realize in the clubs.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple of times this year, even this week, where somebody who is in our group pulled me back from the edge and said, no, this is our club. You're not leaving. You're not quitting Rotary because of bad behavior from one person.
Right.
But it's a real thing. And part of the problem that I have is the older members of the club tend to be bystanders and not upstanders. And what I mean by that is they just go like, oh yeah, these guys, they're like that. This is the way it's always been. People are this way, people are that way. And they don't actually say like, wow, that this person is behaving in a way that's probably doesn't meet the standards, doesn't meet our four-way test, doesn't pass any of these things. And how do we talk to them about it so they understand the impact of what they're doing? And it's really difficult to figure out a way to address those things so that the club becomes more open, so people are really willing to get engaged. I hear some people say, oh, if I'm not in charge of this, if I'm not in charge of that, it's going to be a real SHIT show. It's going to fail. It's going to go to hell. It's going to this, it's going to that. And then anybody who's new or who hasn't done that job before is scared to participate. And, you know, we talk about time, treasure, and talent. How do we let people share their talent if we can't be open with regards to things like that, you know, to let somebody else have a shot or to mentor people? We're really struggling with mentoring.
Yeah. So what I'll tell you about, and this is a part in my story that I left this part out, which is now that I think back, it's a super crucial part, right? So what I did immediately when I became president, and then we had this sort of big exodus, is I put together a leadership line of 5 people. And so people that were interested in participating in our club and all that, that wanted to have leadership positions so that we could have continuity in our club, because that's what I felt like. If we had continuity in our leadership, then we could carry these principles over from year to year. And so that's, to me, that's an important issue. But I got to tell you, you know, it's, I got to close all these rooms. Rotary is a very, you know, I don't want to make it sound too hard, but, you know, there's leadership, right? And then there's leadership of volunteers, which is a whole different thing, right? Because volunteers, I mean, you know, you can't just order them around, right? Because they can tell you, well, you know, screw you, I'm out of here, right? So it takes more finesse, it takes more thought. You know, you have to get consensus from your group that'll say, okay, is this the direction that we want to head? So. Okay, everybody's going to be kind of coming back here, and then we're going to wind it up. We only got like a few more minutes. Let's see. Good enough information. Okay, good. All right, is everybody back? No, they didn't come back from the other group, but now they're coming back. Okay. Maria, thanks for that, and thanks for you know, being new to Rotary and still wanting to be in the leadership and participate at a high level. We were just talking, for those of you that are just rejoining us now, Maria now is going to be, are you the president or are you going to be the incoming president?
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
I'll be joining the board, but that's.
All right, good. So then we can see you at one of our future pets trainings. Okay, good. Naomi, you want to wind up anything before I'll do the summary and close it out? You want to say anything else?
Well, we talked about tweaking the plans and how many components there are to a strategic plan. And so we ended with, okay, if it's only a piece of paper unless you take action. And so I think that's what we're going to be talking now about, doing the action steps.
Okay, all right, good. I love it when all plan comes together. All right, so those of you guys who know me and done training with me, I like things that all like start with the same letter, because then it's easy for me to remember, right? And so in the action steps, the other thing that I found is that if you really want somebody to get something, and I apologize to my group that I had, because I'm just going to kind of repeat myself one more time, is if you really want somebody to get something, is you have them write it down. All right, so I'm going to have you write this down. All right, it's simple, it's just four words, and so you guys can get that. All right, so the action steps are this, right? And like Naomi said, unless you do something around it, it's just a piece of paper. All right, so what am I going to do? So at the end of these 2 hours, when your wife or your spouse asks you, like, God, what did you do for the last 2 hours? This is what you tell them. All right, I learned about the importance of strategic planning, and here's what I'm going to do. So there's 4 of them, right? So the first step, they all begin with A. The first step is to assemble, right? Assemble. Get not just your board together, but get anybody in your club that is interested in the future of where your club is going to go. Because there may be people like Maria that may not be on the board, just really new in Rotary, and that wants to have something to say about where the board is going to go. So have that level of transparency. So the first A is to assemble, okay? The second A is to assess. And in that strategic planning guide that I gave you, there's a whole bunch of assessment questions like, you know, what's our club known for? What's our big fundraiser? What vision do we want to have for our club? What things do we want to change? Okay, so you need to go through that assessment where you start asking questions of the people that are in your club, and you want to try as much as you can to engage everybody in your club in this process if you can. Okay, so first step is assemble. Second one is to assess. Okay, third A is to act. And that act part is really to put together your strategic plan or your action plan. And like I said earlier, it can just be a to-do list. If you guys don't want to get it too complicated, all right, okay, gang, so what do we want to accomplish in the next year? You know, just make a to-do list. Don't make it complicated. If people are like, oh, I don't want to do a strategic plan. Okay, make a to-do list. All right, now, once you have that action plan, the strategic plan in terms of what things you're going to do, then the last A is account or accountability, right? Because if you don't have any accountability for that plan, and I'll repeat one again, is that I've done this for other clubs and they tell me, oh no, we're good. Because we did an action plan back in 2014 and it's sitting in somebody's drawer. And so fine, you know, we don't really need that. I said, okay, well then who's accountable for that? Oh, we don't know, it's in somebody's drawer, but we have a plan. Okay, but like Naomi just said, if it's just a piece of paper, it's nothing unless you're going to take action on it, right? So who's going to be accountable? And in our club system, the accountable body is always the board. All right, so if you're the incoming president or you're the club trainer, go to your board and say, all right, we're going to put together this action plan or our strategic plan for the next incoming year. And you guys are going to be the board that's going to be responsible, the accountable party to make sure this thing happens, right? Because like I was saying earlier, when your board meets every month or every quarter or how often they meet, I recommend every month, the number one on their agenda should be like, okay, let's take out our strategic plan and are we hitting the deadlines? Are we doing the stuff that we said we're going to do? Okay, because otherwise, you know, you're going to come up with this brilliant plan of all these wonderful things you're going to do. It may not happen unless somebody's going to be accountable for that. Okay, last couple things is that continuity is important. So you guys that are incoming, you want to sit down, and next week we're going to do transition training. You got to sit down with the current club president and talk about, all right, so what can we finish up this year? And then what can we put on to next year so that we have continuity going from one year to the next year? Continuity is super important. And remember that whenever you do a plan or you're gonna adapt anything, you're gonna do change. It takes courage, and that starts with you. Okay, so you know, it's right about 11 o'clock. Anybody have any comments, any questions you want to pose for the next couple of minutes? Naomi, you have any final things you want to say? Okay, she does.
Okay, we have the assemblies coming up, and this is where your board members can get trained, your secretary treasurer, your chairs, avenues of service chairs. So this is the program that we have. There may be some tweaks, but here it's something for everybody on the 2nd and the 9th of April. So please encourage your board members, your new members to attend, and they'll find something in it for them. So we've got even the basics 101. We have the 201, people looking for positions in the district or the going on to be an AG or a district governor. We have a session for information, public image. So please encourage your people to your board and your new everybody in your club to attend the assemblies. Okay, that's my commercial.
Okay, good commercial. And now from your sponsor. All right. Hey, folks, it's 11 o'clock. We appreciate your time. I mean, time flies by when you're having fun. 2 hours to zip by. If there's anything that we didn't address, you guys can hang out after we close the meeting or put it in the chat and we'll get back with you guys. But good luck to you. I also want to let you know that, we're here, we're available to help you in any way that we can. So thanks a lot. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you soon. We will have the recording available if, you want to watch it one more time. We'll have it up on the website as soon as I get it to Naomi, and she'll put it up there, hopefully beginning of the week. Okay. All right. Well, good. Have a good Saturday, and we'll see you guys soon. Probably
Hello,
next week.
mahalo nui.
Okay. Mahalo, everybody.
Aloha.
Woohoo.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was fun, huh?
Yeah, that was good. Good job.
That was fun. Okay. Alan, I always look at you because I know you're inside your head is always going because you're always thinking about something. So I always want to feel like, I got to call on Alan and see what Alan thinks, man. Because Alan, he's thinking about it, man.
Yeah, well, it was always great, both of you. It was very helpful, Benson, the 4 A's and all the references to the guides and stuff. That's helpful.
Okay.
Right on, Eva.
Yeah.
We'll
Good
talk.
You're coming,
By the way,
Yes.
Naomi, can we get a printout of that last note that you made for all the club assembly, or is it on the district? It got to be on the district website. Sorry.
Yeah, when you go to the district website, click on that calendar listing, and then the flyer is in there.
Oh, yeah, that one.